Hello, everybody from all over the world. I'm very happy to be with you again and for you to be with me again. Thank you very much for my subscribers and for all of you who is going to subscribe one day, maybe today, after this special episode I made for you. I'm going to meet you with very interesting people. This is extraordinary people with extraordinary experiences. So, we're going to talk about telepathy, we're going to talk about the human conscious, we're going to talk about blindfolder abilities, or you can say also remote viewing if you want. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about the paranormal, the presence from another world, the presence from another dimension. Who knows? But many people in this planet they have that experiences. Sometimes they call them poltergeists. I would like to welcome you again and to be my guest in UFO Disclosure Bulgaria.
My name's Wendy Gallant. I live in Bayfield, Ontario, Canada, right on the shores of Lake Huron, where there's known to be all kinds of sightings here. Mine started 4 years ago. I started seeing stuff out over the lake, and I started experiencing paranormal stuff at the same time, and that's when I met Rob. And thank heavens, because I didn't know what was happening to me, and I was actually reporting what I was seeing and what was happening, and he was kind of helping me get through all of that because I had no idea.
Well, good morning, everybody in the United States, Canada, and every place else, Bulgaria. Good morning. I'm in the Sacramento area of California. I'm an ordained minister, did work civilly, like in police and ambulance work, but was always interested in the psychic abilities and also the UFO phenomena, just knowing since childhood that they're real. So I'm connected with ET Let's Talk and all the people that do CE5 around the world globally.
Good morning. I'm from Canada, London, Ontario, Canada. And for me, it all started with two dramatic encounters with something in the sky when I was a kid. The first one was written up in the newspaper. Many hundreds of people saw it. It was during the big flap of 1966 through Michigan, although I live across the border in Canada, in Ontario, Canada. And that was very interesting. That got me started on my lifelong quest to trying to find out what this is all about.
My name is Aman Berry. I am a paranormal investigator from the greater Seattle, Washington area, but I work all over the world remotely via Zoom, FaceTime chat, email. So yeah, my primary, I guess my thing is I help people feel safe in their houses, I guess is what it comes down to. And that takes a lot of forms, but I'm going to be putting on a paranormal workshop coming up probably within the month or at most in the next 2 months. So, keep your eyes out for that, but I'll keep everyone informed.
As you guys probably are aware, I see a lot of these phenomena. I see these as interconnected phenomena. And I think anytime that you're engaging in phenomena that are coming from parallel realities, there are some very common symptoms. And they include what I just heard Rob saying, which is types of camera failure, battery failure, orbs. We're seeing, I think some of this is really coming together.
If you want, we can start our conversation about conscious, because conscious is something like basic and all this stuff, like connections like remote viewing or ability to see a presence of another dimensions. Okay, what do you think about conscious? How we can develop our conscious?
I guess I have something to say on that. I was really interested with what you were saying, Wendy, about seeing blindfolded, because I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but I study very traditional Chinese martial arts, Qigong, Tai Chi, other forms. And in those styles, we actually practice blindfolded. That's part of the advanced training where we put a blindfold on and we have people point at us, and it's up to us to decide, when we're being pointed at from what direction. And we call that sensing drills, sensitivity drills. And I just found it really fascinating, the cross-disciplinary studies here, where something as, esoteric as Kung Fu goes to something more modern, like the science of seeing blindfolded. I guess the corollary that I've seen is we're changing our brainwave states. In each we're moving to a more theta, more gamma frequency, and that allows us access to our unconscious mind, our higher dimensional faculties. And I think that is the, like you were saying, consciousness being the fundamental ground of being through which all these separate phenomena manifest. That's really my 2 cents on that.
That's interesting. Maybe we can continue with this with Rob and Wendy. You both of you guys doing experiments with like this method with coloring the eyes, recognizing object colors. What else you can do with that?
Well, really, it all seems to be all connected, Ivan. And, when you start down this road of practicing to see blindfolded, you can go down the road of many other of these abilities as well. And I know Wendy has experimented with spoon bending, and that really is just concentrating energy from her mind or her consciousness. I'm not sure. Maybe Wendy can speak to this in a minute, but she applies it to the spoon and literally the spoon bends. There's many other areas that you can get involved in. I've seen, different videos on the internet. We've watched documentaries that you can only purchase where very special things are being done. I've never seen levitation, but I imagine it's all part of this. There's telekinesis where you can affect material objects. And I know, Kat, you can speak to a lot of these things, but I believe that this is all connected. And once you start down the road, you can go down many different other branches. And it really depends on which one or ones that you want to have mastery over. But whichever disciplines you choose, it will require a lot of practice and self-discipline, research, and just diligence and time.
That was well said. I also believe everything is connected in consciousness, and whatever you focus your awareness on seems to present more information for you. I've even noticed that when searching on the internet, if I'm just thinking about something, suddenly it's there. But I think it's also amazing from a spiritual side. Isn't it interesting how we all ended up at the right place at the right time to learn these things and share them with others and to have these relationships with each other? And I think it's been truly amazing. And I don't know if that means we've been led to be here to do this, or if it's some sort of maybe an agreement that you make before you're born. I do believe in dying and coming back over and over again until maybe you get it right. So maybe this is some sort of a contract where we can all work together, or we've worked together in other lives. But any practice, like even remote viewing, I noticed as soon as I started doing that it opened it up to more things like lucid dreaming, travel, getting weird messages in the middle of the night. And only a couple of times, but when you get those auditory messages, it's a little shocking to hear your name called and something being said, because you immediately think it's your imagination, right?
Well, exactly. And I can say, for example, when Wendy and I first started practicing together to learn this ability, it really just started with trying to see colors in front of you. Like Wendy would have her blindfold on like that, and I would hold up the colors, various different colors one at a time, and she would start to see a haze or a flash or a jagged line or dots. And I remember the one day she was having a little trouble, and then all of a sudden she said, "Oh, my vision has gone into the other room. And I thought she was joking. And so I was joking too. And I said, well, let's go into the other room then. And I went into the other room myself and closed the door. And I was holding up the cards, and Wendy got all the colors. So it's like, this is a separate part of you that can travel. It is your consciousness. Is it your soul, in fact? I don't know. I have no idea. But it seems to be this consciousness, which is part of you. As Kat says, we have our physical body and our brain, affectionately known as a meat sack, I guess, Kat, right? But we have this consciousness, which can be inside our body, it can be outside our body. And in that one day, it was obvious that Wendy's consciousness went outside her body and went into the other room. And it was as if her vision could see from that point. And just a couple of weeks ago, we were practicing right here in this room, in one of these chairs here. And all of a sudden, I could see the fireplace over here. And it was like, wait a minute, it's not from the point of view of where my head is. And Wendy says, well, where are you seeing it from? I said, well, it looks like I'm viewing it from the footstool, like where my feet were. So it's almost like, kids think their moms have eyes in the back of their head. It felt like I had eyes in my feet, because where my feet were is where I saw the fireplace from, because I was looking up, and it was from the exact angle of the footstool. So my consciousness, whether it was just random or whether I was doing it somehow unconsciously, my consciousness was from the point of view of the footstool. And I viewed the fireplace here from the point of view of the footstool. So that is your consciousness moving around outside your body.
I have a question for Wendy. Wendy, when you are able to see the object or something, you see like a picture in your mind, or you got message in your mind that this is whatever it is?
Okay. Well, I was just going to go back to what Rob was saying about your consciousness going anywhere. And I think we mentioned this before, but my distinct memory is when we were practicing by Zoom or by Skype. We were using Skype, sorry. And Rob was asking me what colors he had. I had the mask on, and he was asking me what colors. But the thing that just blew me away is he said he directed me to his house. Then he told me to come up the stairs, go into his room that he was, and he said, I'm walking across the room to the window with a piece of paper in my hand. Tell me what color that is. What totally blew me away is I saw him walk across the room, and I saw him standing at the window with the piece of paper, and I said to him, is it orange? And he said, yes. Now, Rob records everything. And I asked him to play it back to me later, and I saw exactly what the recording showed. I saw him walking. It was the exact thing that I saw, and that was the first time that happened to me, and it actually just kind of blew my mind. But I started out years ago, and we went to training, and I didn't see anything. It was funny. I actually got told I wouldn't be able to because of my age and other factors. So I only saw, finally, one night we were sitting in a B&B, and Liz was practicing with Rob, and I was in a rocking chair listening to him. And I had my mask on, and I was just relaxing, rocking in the chair. And Marcus came over, threw a colored sheet of paper on my lap and said, what color is that? And I immediately got a flash, and I said, pink. And he said, yes. And so that's what started me. And I'm finding with our age, it's a gradual thing. As we keep training, we're seeing more and more. We went from colors to cups, distinguishing where the colors are, where the cups are. And then we moved on to shapes and letters. And what Rob was saying about your consciousness going anywhere. And I think we mentioned this before, but my distinct memory is when we were practicing by Zoom or by Skype. We were using Skype, sorry. And Rob was asking me what colors he had. I had the mask on, and he was asking me what colors. But the thing that just blew me away is he said he directed me to his house. Then he told me to come up the stairs, go into his room that he was, and he said, I'm walking across the room to the window with a piece of paper in my hand. Tell me what color that is. What totally blew me away is I saw him walk across the room, and I saw him standing at the window with the piece of paper, and I said to him, is it orange? And he said, yes. Now, Rob records everything, and I asked him to play it back to me later, and I saw exactly what the recording showed. I saw him walking. It was the exact thing that I saw, and that was the first time that happened to me, and it actually just kind of blew my mind. But I started out years ago, and we went to training, and I didn't see anything. It was funny. I actually got told I wouldn't be able to because of my age and other factors. So I only saw, finally, one night we were sitting in a B&B, and Liz was practicing with Rob, and I was in a rocking chair listening to him. And I had my mask on, and I was just relaxing, rocking in the chair. And Marcus came over, threw a colored sheet of paper on my lap and said, what color is that? And I immediately got a flash, and I said, pink. And he said, yes. And so that's what started me. And I'm finding with our age, it's a gradual thing. As we keep training, we're seeing more and more. We went from colors to cups, distinguishing where the colors are, where the cups are, and then we moved on to shapes and letters and stuff. And so it's a progressive thing, and you have to train and train and train in order to, at our age, kids get it right away. So yeah.
So my understanding is, looks like you make kind of connection with Rob, and you see through his eyes.
I've never seen things through his eyes. No, I never have.
Oh, okay.
I've always seen it for myself. I don't think you have. Have you, Rob?
No, it's really just when Wendy and I are training, the one person, like for example, if she's training me and I wear the mask and I close my eyes behind the mask, so I get used to the dark. And Wendy will take me through various relaxation exercises, breathing exercises. It's really to slow the mind, the emotions, and the body, slow it all down and relax it. We're so much into our left brain, our intellectual, reasoning, logical side, and that's not where this exists. This seems to exist in the right brain, on the creative side. So Wendy will take me through all these exercises, get me very relaxed, and it's really guiding me to allow myself to get relaxed. And just letting go and being a passive observer.
Just let it happen.
Feeling safe. And sometimes I will actually pass into the hypnagogic state between being fully awake and sleeping. Pardon me. And when I'm in that state, it really happens big time. But quite often you're either fully conscious or fully asleep, right? But anyway, when she gets me relaxed, then she will hold up colors. She will hold up symbols one at a time, and she doesn't even have to see them herself. Okay, she can grab them randomly and just hold them up, and I will see it. Now, for me, it's not so much exactly real time. For example, if she holds that up, maybe in 3 or 4 seconds, I will get like a snapshot of a square, and Wendy will say, is it open or closed? And I say, it's open, it's an open square. And she will even have me, she'll hold up a card and she'll point at a symbol. And she said, look where my finger is. And I will see part or all of that zero. Now, sometimes for me, it's opening in real time, but it's just very brief moments. And I'm going to now pass it over to Wendy, because just the other night, Wendy had a huge breakthrough. And I was very excited about what she described. And Wendy, maybe you can tell everybody after 3 years what you've had happen.
I think Kat's got her hand up though.
Yeah,
Kat?
she has a, yeah.
I see your hand.
I've been flashing it up and down, trying to get a word in edgewise. Can one of you hold up your mask and turn it sideways so people can see just how thick that is? Look at that. There is no way that you could see around that. Now, I've followed you guys for a long time now since you started. And Wendy, in the very beginning, would also put bandages over her eyes and then put the mask on, which wasn't really necessary, but I thought it was interesting.
Well,
And
yeah, a lot of people don't believe it. They think you're looking through the mask, so that's why I did that.
yeah, or underneath. And that's what I thought that was really interesting, because I was thinking, well, maybe you're looking out the bottom. And then when you were forced to do it from separate homes because of COVID, then it became clear that there's no way you could be peeking or get a hint out of that. So it was interesting. You were most successful when you were completely blinded and in the dark.
Yeah.
And especially
that was actually a really funny situation, because I couldn't, my goal was to see with the bandages and the mask. And so this is going to be funny, but I was cleaning my house. And as I'm cleaning, my mind's always working. And my mind went, well, you have your eyes closed behind the mask, so why can't you see with the ice patches? And it was just like a huge light bulb. So I walked in, sat down, put the patches on, put the mask on and everything, and tried it, and boom, it was there. So I'm thinking I just had to tell my brain that I had to tell myself that it was possible.
I think the most interesting and relevant thing that I could bring to the table at this point is to kind of dovetail off what Robert and Wendy were talking about, how when Robert was talking about how his consciousness was existing non-locally of his body existing. And I had a quick question for you, Robert, about that. Did you have 360-degree vision, or was your vision, how did you perceive sight?
Yeah, now people can have 360-degree vision. I haven't experienced that yet, but they say as you work with it and believe that you can have that, it will gradually open in a 360-degree way. I just saw like an image, like a snapshot, like a rectangle, like just what I see with my normal vision, that kind of a frame.
Awesome. And all of this ties directly into my work as a paranormal investigator. I don't usually talk publicly about the more advanced applications of the methodologies, but sometimes it is required to assist somebody with what I call a distance clearing, where they're having some unwanted unpleasantness happening in their house. It's not a paranormal investigation seminar today, but they're having something happen that they don't want. They want to raise their vibrations. So I guess this all translates to my technique of when I'm on the phone or on a video chat with someone and I go into a deeply meditative state, I don't usually talk about this, I can project my awareness into that haunted location, and I can change the vibrations remotely. And it's very similar to what you guys are talking about in how, your consciousness isn't necessarily at the same height that your body is. So you can perceive things in the house. If you get good at it, you can perceive unseen spirits, but that's a whole different conversation. But it's all that same mechanism of non-local reality. This ties into if someone's, I can't really talk too much about this, but I've done some law enforcement style applications of this work. And it all comes to the same mechanism of our minds are non-local radios, non-local transducers, and we're an electromagnetic battery. So we have these natural abilities to tune in to different frequencies, and if we can relax our mind, relax our body, and get in alignment with the mechanisms required to do this, I've had similar experiences myself.
Kat?
And I'm going to throw this to Aman, but it's related to something that Rob was saying about your perception of where you were viewing from, like when you were seeing from your feet. Now, you have all heard of the Merkaba,
Hmm.
the light spirit body.
Hmm.
Well, this is like traveling. When you raise your frequency enough, your consciousness can travel. So I'm wondering, because of the studies with SRI, Stanford Research Institute, where they would remote view objects in other rooms. Well, they had a camera set up there and they were capturing photons, light particles left in the room where they never were physically in there, but it left a trail that somebody had entered and left. So when I think about the Merkaba, your consciousness, do you think that's what those orbs are that people capture in their films, like on your paranormal research? And I've captured quite a few myself on camera. What do you
That's yeah, that's a really great perspective. I think the best way to answer that would be sometimes. In some of the orbs that I've captured, in some of the phenomena I've experienced, or even in my I guess dabbling in the field of CE5, I would honestly say I've seen more Merkaba style phenomena, like classic, the two triangles rotating, is the traditional depiction of a Merkaba. I guess if I'm being honest, I've seen more of that high vibrational, high intensity phenomena in my CE5 explorations. You do get colored orbs in paranormal, but oftentimes the entities that I deal with as someone who helps beings move on, whatever that looks like, a lot of times my demographic, if you will, might be a bit confused, might be a bit, I guess, I don't want to use not non-judgmentally, but lower vibrational. So sometimes they can't attain those states required to fully charge the auric sphere and create that Merkaba effect. But yes, I've seen it, but I guess both in the paranormal and more in CE5 would be my answer to that.
So, Simeon, we were just talking about orbs and remote viewing and wondering if maybe what we're seeing might be other dimensions. And that's something that you've talked about in your blogs. Do you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, as you guys probably are aware, I see a lot of these phenomena. I see these as interconnected phenomena. And I think anytime that you're engaging in phenomena that are coming from parallel realities, there are some very common symptoms. And they include what I just heard Rob saying, which is types of camera failure, battery failure, orbs. We're seeing, I think some of this is really coming together. I don't claim to be an expert in all of this. I'm just doing my best, like the rest of you, to put it all together. I started out in RV, spoke to UFO witnesses, crop circles, and now I'm looking into Bigfoot encounters. The same sort of things happen around Bigfoot encounters: camera failure, battery failure, orbs, people losing time. And I think we're seeing some really common patterns here with all these phenomena. And you don't have to agree with me, but I see these as multidimensional sorts of phenomena. RV being like one of the lightest ways you can get involved with it, one of the kind of safe ways to get involved. Just sitting at your desk with a piece of paper. But even with that phenomena, you get orbs. Way back in Farsight, we had a guy there. I called him Bob in my book, Opening Minds, that reported an orb coming into the room while he was viewing a Martian target that we had been given by Courtney to look at. And so even way back then in 96, the orbs, something I never heard about before. Honestly, folks, I just had come out of graduate school. They're way back, people were reporting these orbs while they're doing their sessions. So I just think there are a lot of commonalities here, Kat. And I think that when you start getting bleed through from other parallel realities, it just messes around with our electronics and our normal sense of reality. And I'm beginning to think what we call reality is really just like 1% of what's out there. And some of us venture a little farther, be it UFOs or Bigfoot or whatever you're looking at, crop circles. As soon as you get that interdimensional bleed through, it starts warping things in a way, and other things happen that we're not used to, including the orbs and all these other kind of phenomena. That's my take. Yeah.
Thank you. And we didn't get to give you a proper introduction, so I'm going to say, this is Dr. Simeon Hein, And you're up in, is it Colorado?
Boulder, yeah, Boulder. In fact,
Yeah.
Aman came to one of my classes once. Hey, Aman, how's it going?
Hey, good to see
He
you.
was there with Buddy at one of my intro classes before COVID when we did live, right? We did live
Oh,
classes.
Man, and the stuff I took away, highly recommend this man's classes, highly endorse for any of you considering learning. He even has an online program, and I know I'm giving you a plug right now, but it's really good stuff. And I was just thinking, this is kind of a surreal moment for me because I remember studying your early RV View videos on YouTube like 10 years ago when we were both significantly younger. And now, honestly, I'm in the same room with one of my like heroes in the field. So this is just a cool moment for me.
Oh, thank you, Aman. Yeah, no, it was great. Aman was there and we had a great time in the class. So it's great to see you again. Yeah.
Fun stuff.
So are you guys open up for having classes again, or does it all have to be remote right now still?
I'm doing them remotely. I have one scheduled for next weekend, just like a Zoom class, Saturday, Sunday.
And
But I haven't.
I'm sorry, Ivan had asked a really good question. He has people in Bulgaria that would love to take these courses.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what kind of a language problem there might be.
Yeah.
So for those who want to learn coordinate remote viewing or remote sensing, whatever you want to call it, how would you tell them to learn? Because I don't know what the resources they have in Bulgaria.
We would have to have Yvonne there to translate, I think. We would have to set the class up. I'm open to doing this if you want to do this, Yvonne, and
Yeah.
you'd be there to translate.
Yeah, I actually, last night I talked with Kat about this, and I said, what about if we have Zoom thing with someone and people getting just basic information about the remote viewing, and then give them a time to practice. They got like basic stuff, and I can translate live during this lesson, and then for example, after 1 week we can do again with them, and if they have any questions, they can ask directly the